But I I went the other day. I went to McDonald's. I had number one little side fillet of fish. I was doing a side cheeseburger.
Man.
I was doing side cheeseburger, then a side McChicken for a while. McChicken was its own meal at one point in the heyday, and now it's just pushed off to the 99-cent menu.
Yeah.
There's a little more respect than I think. The McChicken was a solid sandwich. It is a solid sandwich.
I love that where it is, right? That's almost like a last
now
call.
It's just I'll take a couple McChickens, throw them in. Yeah, I'm not against that. Yeah. And then but I started going a little filet, I started going a little filet of fish now. Little side filet of fish, just they need the menu.
Filet of fish, I've only had it once, and it was like someone who was a huge filet of fish person was like, you have to have it. I'm like, there's no way, it's disgusting. Like, you have to have it. No way, it's disgusting. You have to. All right, I'm very easily persuaded. It's like literally within 10 seconds.
Say it 3 times, yeah.
I was like, all right, fine, give it to me. I got it. I pretended it was bad.
Good.
Pretty good sandwich.
Yeah. If it's not fresh, it can be bad.
Yeah.
But but you still get through it. You'll be fine.
Fish is not good.
You'll be all right. You fight through it. Yeah, it's a little more tartar. Can I get a little more tartar on this?
Do they tell you what kind of fish? Or they're like, don't worry about it.
I don't never asked anybody what kind of fish anything is ever in my life. I've never been to a nice restaurant and asked what kind of fish. I don't. What am I talking to these people about? I know what it is. Know what you're doing. I'm in my car. They're handing you food. And you think, excuse me.
You never wondered what
is this Atlantic or Pacific?
Yeah.
I actually do think I read, I think I relatively recently read this. I think it just says like filet of...
it's North Atlantic cod.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this fish was killed years ago. This fish has been dead for years. Like, it's not like, it's not one you're like, is his family still alive? Like, no, his family's dead. Like, this is light years. This guy never stood a chance, you know?
I don't have a leg to stand on because I've been on a kick a little bit of, I do the tuna fish from Subway.
Oh, yeah.
I do tuna. I don't
know.
He had a day the other day.
I do it. It's not regularly, but whenever I go to Subway, I get the tuna. And that only started after they announced that a study showed that they don't know what's in the tuna.
They say it's not tuna.
It's not. There's no trace of.
That's
tuna.
when he started eating it.
And I was like, let's figure out what it is. Let's try it. And I got it. We were going to the Stefano's house, and I got the tuna melt with extra mayo, and then puked into Stefano's backyard.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't good.
I've never puked at fast food. You gotta be able to handle it.
Well,
you gotta be built for that.
They were showing me gross
he has
stuff.
a soft. He has a very soft.
I got a real weak.
He puked at the bar. Oh, this is another Soder story. Oh, you were kind of involved in this. It was when Joe List shit in a girl's shoe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dan told us that you called him like in hysterics, like you just gotta talk to Joe. You gotta get this story. We've been talking about the logistics of that and like how does that occur?
It was.
Does he do it on purpose? Was it an
No. He didn't know.
It almost feels like it does. He
did it, and he was very drunk. He went to the bathroom, and he did it at a lot of places. So it was everywhere. So it's kind of a lottery that it hit his shoe. We go out. Everybody's drinking that night. So I have a joke from that night. I tell my story about. My wife, I was like texting her. I was like, "Oh, I'll call you later." I don't talk to her for like 12 hours. I text her at 6 a.m. I'm like I said, I am home or something. And so I had to joke about my text with her because she got furious at me that night. She's here, obviously, but she got mad that I was. Yeah, she choked to death. She are. And but she got mad at because obviously I disappear for 12 hours. And then we go out and we're drinking. One point we go to this bar down in the East Village, and Joe leaves to go home at one point, and we're like, all right, man, we're seeing you. Joe List's really drunk. And then an hour and a half, he's just back at the bar, just sitting in the seat. And we're like, what are you doing? And he goes, what? And he goes, I was just hanging out, man. You're like, yeah, but you left. We kind of walked you out. You left. He goes, He goes, and just kept drinking. And you're like, all right, well, Joe's back. And then, so he goes to these girls' house, and they worked at Caroline's, the comedy club, and they were very nice. They just moved to New York, and it's like he just goes there, he's drunk. I mean, just passes out, whatever. And then they get up and they go to work. They have to go to work. Because they're real people.
They're human.
And And so Joe wakes up and he's got a flight to Seattle that day. And the trip, he's going to the Seattle Comedy Fest where he will be gone 1 month. So, for a month, you got to like pack for a month. So he wakes up.
I'd probably stay home that night for a month-long excursion. That would be me, but yeah.
He wakes up and like, he calls me, and he's on the way to the airport. So he woke up and immediately he just realized that he took a dump in these girls' shoes. So he tries to clean up the best he can. And then he goes, packs a backpack worth of clothes for 1 month. Doesn't get a shower or anything. I mean, he's got stuff on his legs.
Oh my God.
So he gets there and then he misses his flight. And so they get him on another flight. So now he's got to fly to Boston, then Seattle. So I loved it because he basically felt like he had to go backwards and then the farthest. It was almost, they were like, we're going to make you have to go a little bit farther. And then
you get it, right?
You get it, yeah.
You got to tone a bit.
So he has to sit down in like the middle. And he's just doing this. So he can't talk to these girls. He calls me and said, I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry. And they're like, don't, it happens. And I think they thought he just like peed on the floor or something. Yeah. And they're like, they just got out of college. They're like, yeah, we get it, dude. It happens. So he lands, and when he lands, he calls and tells me all this story. Dude, it's my fate. Like I weirdly like when something goes really wrong for someone, and when bad things happen. And so I'm like losing my mind that I'm laughing so hard. And so he lands, and he's got a message from those girls, and the message is, it's way worse than we thought. and like he ruined the shoes. It was everywhere. It was like not good. And so like then these women, their life is different now. After like whatever journey they might have been on, they're on another road now. And like it's a road that's like kind of half lit and not like they had a nice road that was like paved, and now they're like kind of like it's like I don't know if you're ever gonna make it back to the road that you were on. It's kind of hard after you see something like this. And
once you've cleaned up,
from a guy that you don't really know that well. You know what I mean? Like,
booty. You come back home and you're like, I've seen some things,
You've seen some.
I can't unsee this.
You can't. Like, And so you have to go work with the homeless after that. Like, you can't even work in an office building. You're like, I gotta get out. It can't be boxed down. And so he calls them, and then he calls me. He wrote him. He had to send him money. And he gave him, he sent him cash. He wrote a card, because he was gone for a month, so he wasn't going to see him. And I saw him first. I went to Caroline's. I was like, let me just go and let me fill it out for you. Because they were all there, and I was like, I'll get it calmed down. And so I'll go in and see him. Right when I go down, walking down Caroline's, there's those steps. You go down, and I see him, and I go, huh? Our boy Joe, how about him? I'm just trying to be as charming as I can be to make it as fun of a bad situation this could possibly be. And then he goes, and he does it, and then he sent him, wrote a check, wrote him a card, said, I'm so sorry, I don't even know what to say. Signed it Uncle Joe, which is very funny, and sent him $300 cash. And he asked me, he goes, is that enough? I go, I don't think you could have ever sent him out. That would be too much. If you sent him $2,000, I think, or $10,000, that's okay. Whatever,
$1 million. We've just said it ruined their lives.
It ruined their lives.
No dollar amount.
There's not amount. Don't worry about too much. There's only not enough.